In two instances, I have noticed photographs wherein two men were standing side by side. The shorter man was obviously standing on a box so that he would appear to be roughly the same height as the taller man. I don't know why people do that. Maybe, uh, maybe for the same reason Jimmy Carter wore elevator shoes. Attention, this video addresses the topic of strategic deception. Part 1 deals with disproportionality. If you saw him behind the podium and somebody walked up to the podium and the president presented him an award and the two were standing there side by side, you wouldn't notice anything odd. But if you were in the audience, you'd be thinking, Carter's wearing elevator shoes. The same effect as Jimmy Carter's elevator shoes, the misleading effect, is presented to us whenever we're shown an artist representation of the solar system. The planets all lined up and the sun right there. And you can see the sun and you can see Venus, Mercury, Earth, Mars, the meteor belt, whatever it's called. And there's Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto. And you don't realize that it's way out of proportion. It's like seeing the president with elevator shoes, only from the chest up. You're misled and you don't even know it. How big is the sun compared to the earth? Just remember that over 99% of the mass, the total mass of the solar system, is contained within the sun. That should give you a clue as to how big it is. The sun is larger, very much larger than the earth. Me and my partner continued to drive through the dust storm, not knowing any better. Suppose we were going 70 miles an hour and the dust storm was blowing almost directly toward us, but maybe off to the side. We could see, so we kept on going. When it was all over, we noticed the windshield of that 1976 Dodge Duster was pitted, was frosted. It frosted the windshield. The sun is moving through interstellar gas, just as our car was moving through the dust storm. The sun is moving and the dust is moving, and the two don't ever collide, like the windshield of the car that got frosted by all these millions of impacts of these little dust particles. The people who speak for NASA said a few months ago that interstellar hydrogen does not enter the heliosphere, a bubble created by outgoing solar wind. It doesn't enter at all. It can't, because it's protected. Our solar system is enveloped in a bubble that prevents any alien material from coming in. Well, they've revised that now. They admit that several gases come in from the interstellar space, from a cloud of gas and dust the sun is passing through. They've revised that. They admit that the atoms do get in. And most of the material in a nebulous cloud, which is what we're passing through, is hydrogen. The sun used to use hydrogen as fuel in a fusion reaction in its core, which causes a discharge of energy, some of which is in the form of light and some of which ends up warming the earth. If the sun and the solar system passed through clumps of interstellar gas, it couldn't possibly impact the sun. The sun is massive now. Any dust that comes in ought to be caught in the gravitational pull of the sun because it is so massive. The gravity would be intense. But the people who speak for NASA say, nope, all these hydrogen atoms slingshot around the sun. They just slingshot around. Whoom! None of them hit the sun. And that couldn't possibly affect our climate. Interstellar gas.
Did you not see him? Yeah. About 15 minutes before we went in to the platform area, Hillary and Bill and Rosa and I were together. And when we met each other as old friends, I kissed Hillary, Bill kissed Rosalind, reminisced about Bill helping me become president, I helped him become president, reminisced about Bill helping me become president, I helped him become president, reminisced about Bill helping me become president, I helped him become president.
Now we know how Jimmy Carter got elected. Jimmy Carter said way back in 1976 or so, the energy crisis is real. This is the perpetual communist agenda. We now know that Clinton campaigned for Carter, Carter campaigned for Clinton. We know that Al Gore and Clinton and Jimmy Carter, Hillary Clinton, and George McGovern, who was a candidate in 1968, were all in cahoots with the communist movement, the international communist movement. The IBEX space probe was sent by the new NASA to substantiate the idea of the bubble, the invisible bubble that prevents interstellar material from entering the solar system. It did just the opposite. It actually did just the opposite. As IBEX orbits the Earth, its detectors point once a year in the direction of the sun's movement through space. NASA now admits that hydrogen from the local interstellar medium passes through this barrier, this heliosphere, as though it was not even there. If all communists were required to wear red shirts, you could easily identify them. But they're not required to wear red shirts. You have to develop radar. Keep in mind that the new NASA is not the same NASA that put a man on the moon. The White House is not the old White House. Things have changed. Deception is a major part of the communist strategy, and they want to deprive you of energy. Obama wants to deprive you of energy. Why? Because you cannot produce goods and services if the lights go out. If the lights go out, America can be conquered from the inside in the dark without our enemies having to fire a shot. It's a takeover. We've been taken over. The masterminds behind this takeover is the Russian KGB and Communist China and their pawns around the world and their army of drones, mindless idiots, dumbtards, who do what they're told to do and say what they're told to say. These dumbtards have infested NASA and all other branches of the supposed U.S. government. They want you to believe that your carbon dioxide emissions are killing the planet, when in fact your carbon dioxide emissions are irrelevant because the Earth's climate is determined by the sun's passage through clouds of interstellar gas which fuel the sun. Without these clouds of interstellar gas, the sun probably would have burned out 1 billion years ago, but it's still shining. The prominent feature of any galaxy, along with all those stars, is a large amount of interstellar gas.